us pick the top 6 niches in notes. What are the top 6 niches that you're seeing people using notes for?
Okay. That's a great question. So what we've got is, at this point in time, we've kind of gone in and we've said, okay, what's the top things out there for 2018? Things that are a little bit different than they were in 2017, 2016. So we've identified those top 6 niches for you. And as we kind of progress through what we're going to be doing in May, we'll on Tuesday night, the 8th of May, Kim will give me about an hour and 15 minutes or so to kind of give you the 35,000 foot view of the note business. And then on Saturday, the 12th, we'll have all day to spend together. We'll go through and I'll be able to expand on that and give you a kind of the 5,000 foot view. And then a lot of folks will decide to come to one of our 3-day classes and we'll take you down to ground level with that. So anyway, so the 6 biggest niches. First one is non-performing notes from banks and hedge funds. So, Kim, I mentioned that, and sometimes people look at me and they go, wow, why would you want to buy a note on a house that the borrower's not paying on? And, the biggest answer to that, obviously, is, well, because of the price. We can buy the non-performing note for about 25% of what the as-is value of the property would be. So, it makes sense, right? When we're buying at about a 75% discount. So non-performing notes, one of the biggest niches. The second one is going to be, and we'll come back in a second after kind of we run through these 6 guys. And I'll kind of break them down, and we'll spend a few minutes on each one of these. Reperforming notes. So there's non-performing notes from banks and hedge funds, and then there's reperforming notes from banks and hedge funds as well. So that simply means that some of the banks have kind of modified these loans for borrowers, and loans that were once non-performing, meaning the borrower wasn't paying as agreed, well, they've kind of worked through them maybe with a HAMP or a HARP modification. HAMPs have gone away, but they went away last year. But there's still the HARP mods, and there's some of these others. So we can buy those. Now, obviously, if we're buying a reperforming loan, we're going to pay a little bit more for it. We may pay up to 60 or 70% of the as-is value of the property, okay? So reperforming notes. And then selling with seller financing. So this is on the performing side. And Kim, you mentioned this is what you absolutely love to do. And I do too. I had 47 single-family rent houses. And, that's a lot of work, even with the property manager, right? And so over a period of time, I sold all of those single-family rent houses basically, I sold a lot of them to the people that had been renting them from me for a long period of time. And, the interesting thing is when we're selling with seller finance, most people don't know how to create a good loan that can be sellable, that has a high value out there. And, you can also sell any of these loans. I could sell a performing loan I could sell the loan. I could sell you the property, Kim, with seller financing. And then at some point in time, if I wanted to sell the balance of the loan, I could do that as well.
Well, we have an investor here in town, a landlord. He has a lot of long-term tenants in his rental properties in a city that's decided they want to, regulate the landlord a lot more. So he decided that he was just going to seller finance to his long-term tenants and no longer be a landlord and solve his problem.
Absolutely. Well, we know, Kim, you and I both know. I mean, it's typically the tenant has more rights than the landlord does, right? And when you're the bank, so Kim, if you're the landlord and the water heater, bursts overnight, well, the person that owns the house or the person that is renting the house to you, that's who you call, right? Well, if you owe Bank of America, you certainly don't call Bank of America. You call a plumber. So, and really what I'm getting here with this is I want your people, your members to know, Kim, that that, everybody thinks you got to have a ton of money to go into the note business. And guys, I can tell you that anything you can do with a house, you can also do with a note. So I can earn fee income from wholesaling notes. So I can get a note under contract for one price, and I can sell the contract on buying that note to Kim maybe, and I can make a fee from wholesaling the note. So I can make fee income. I'll show you 3 or 4 different case studies of how you can make fee income by wholesaling a note. So Kim, you know how that works. You can get a property under contract at a lower price, flip the contract, assign the contract to somebody else at a little higher price, and make some money. And you don't have to have a whole lot of cash to do that. You don't have to have any cash if you don't, if you've got the right person to buy. So, that's another part of that. And we'll get a little deeper into that in just a second. Turnkey seller finance. I know you've got a lot of landlords in the Kansas City area. And, this is really a piece of the business that allows landlords to exit being a landlord by selling their houses, their rental houses to an investor that really is looking for a good investment. So what you would end up being if you sold your loaded house, the house that has a good long-term tenant in that property, to a person that wants to be a landlord. Well, the interesting thing about that is, Kim, and especially in a market like Kansas City, you've got the cash comp price on a house, right? What the comps may say it's worth. So the comps may say a house is worth $50,000, $60,000, but the house will rent for $1,000. So what most folks don't realize is that when you've got a loaded cash flow property with a tenant in the property, you can sell the house based on, with a tenant already in there, based on the income of the property. And so the house may be worth $90,000 or $100,000 based on the income from the property. So we're going to go through turnkey seller financing, and then the last one there is buying with seller financing. So, most folks that are out there either doing wholesaling or doing buy, fix, and sell, Kim, they're having to make a lot of offers in order to get one. So we've kind of made it a quest to go out at NoteSchool and talk to a lot of these folks that are doing, maybe 15 or 20 houses a year, or they're doing 80 or 100 or 200 or 300 either wholesale properties or buy, fix, and sell properties. And the challenge that they have is that they're all chasing the same property. So what we found and what statistics we found is that you've got to make 20 offers in order to get one acceptance. So what that means, and because you're all offering the same thing, right? Well, the $100,000 house, we're all trying to buy it for $70,000, $75,000 cash, right? And so everybody's kind of chasing the same deal, and all their deals look alike. So by just simply adding, if you're making 20 offers, or if you're working with 20 properties in order to get one, that means you're succeeding 5% of the time and you're failing 95% of the time. So simply by asking the owner, what is your real challenge here? Now look, Kim, if you're selling the property, I'll certainly make you a cash offer that I can close in 2 or 3 days, or 4, 5, or 6, or 7 days. That's what the offer that everybody else has made. But I will also offer that seller terms. So look, I'll give you the $70,000 that Kim's, that everybody else out there will give you. But I'm going to give you a second offer on your property. You're asking 100. I'll give you 100. Let me pick the terms on this. Why don't you seller finance the property for me? And I can tell you that most investors out there kind of get locked in their brain, right? And that, you know, everybody wants cash. Everybody's got a money problem. Well, not everybody has a money problem. Some people just simply have a real estate problem. So by simply offering a seller finance, a terms deal where they'll seller finance for you, I'll promise you we can double your results and maybe triple it without spending another dollar on marketing. Kim, people just don't realize, again, the power of offering or just throwing it out there. Most people feel like they have to do like everybody else. I've got to offer this cash. I've got to do a cash offer and close quickly to get a deal. And we know that that's what the herd's doing. That's the herd. Everybody else is kind of going that way. But I can tell you that by learning how to make an offer using seller or buying with seller financing, having your seller or finance the property. Kim, it may be that they just have a house that they need to sell because they don't want to manage the house. Doesn't mean they want all the cash, right? I mean, if you sell a $150,000 house and you get $150,000 in cash, well, you know, most people think, well, everybody wants the cash, right? But if you're not a real estate investor or you're not investing it like we are on a daily basis, it may be a burden for them to take that cash because now they're going to have to take that money and they're going to have to invest it somewhere else to get a good rate of return. They're certainly probably not going to throw it into the stock market, right? I mean, we know that's, you know, nobody would argue that it's going nuts, but we don't know when it's going to go south, right? And so, you know, we can offer, we can make an offer, structure an offer where we can buy with seller financing. Like I said before, not everybody has a money problem. Some people have a real estate problem. On Tuesday, May 8th, Kim, anything you want to say about that?
Well, I'm going to say if notes are completely new to you, or even if you're a seasoned investor, I've seen people going and getting into the note business totally brand new, knowing nothing. They had to learn. They didn't have any bad habits to unlearn.
Amen.
And then I've also seen very seasoned investors that have gotten into the note business that just gives them more tools. And what I'm looking forward to is all day on the 12th. Bye.